Hello everybody, Alphamir here. Thank you for clicking on the video. So today we are going to be talking about my final thoughts before update live before up before update 40 hits live. So let's just dive right into it. So first off, Endless Dungeon or Endless Archive. I do think that this is a nice idea, but I think it kind of misses the mark. I mean, who is this for? Someone like me, you know, I'm a bit more casual. I don't really have a ton of time to play except for maybe like one day a week. Like where that one day I do have like maybe a couple hours to play. But overall, I log in and I play some PvP and I do my daily writs and um maybe some endeavors if I happen to run into them. Certainly don't go out of my way for those anymore, but I don't see myself doing Endless Archive. I may run like Arc 1 and 2 over and over and over again just to get some things that I want, like the furnitures and this, maybe some of the sets that are nice, but I mean, overall, like, huh? Like, I think it's too big for casuals without a save feature, for sure. And it's too long to get to the hard content for those who were looking for harder content. You know, um, it's just overall like I mean, even a set like Monolith Storms, right? I I'm kind of on the outside where I actually think that's an okay set. It's not great. It's not meta. It's not but it's something fun and it has its little niche and it's kind of worth it. It's worth putting on, but is it worth grinding in a setting like that? Absolutely not, because it's going to take you longer to get set pieces in Endless Archive than it would in any dungeon anywhere. And that's why I don't know, just doesn't make sense. Um, the rewards as of right now are not that great either, but that could change. There was an ESO article where they talked about, like the rewards are, leads and things like that. So we'll really have to see how this hits live. I'm also kind of on the outside when it comes to them rewarding overland sets. A lot of people were like, well, why in the world would I want overland sets? I already have overland sets. Well, not everyone does, for one. And also at the same time, they're good for selling for people for sticker book, um, people who are leveling up crafting and need that particular trait. It's good for that. I mean, and it's also good because you can get them and break them down and sell the mats. So that's why it's like, you know what? It's not the worst decision to make those things available. Like, so, but we'll see. We'll have to see if there's still more rewards. I do think they need to be more frequent, and I do think they need to be more. Fortunes again. It's really grindy. You know, um, it can make things that you want to buy just seem so far away because it's going to take you forever to get some of these things. So whether, and I think in response to this, to any sort of criticism with this, I think, Zos's be like, well, let's just lower the cost. That's not necessarily the right decision. I think you need to make them drop more frequently. Just like when it comes to the class sets and just rewards in general need to drop more frequently. Class sets in general, moving on to them. Again, it's a really nice idea. It's different, it's unique. Probably should have been um, instead of 5-piece set, probably a 3-piece set, but whatever, that's neither here nor there. Some sets don't really seem worth it. The Necron and Templar set, they really don't really seem worth grinding. I mean, the Necro set has such a long cooldown, which doesn't really help because it's not really up that long. If it had zero cooldown like the Monolith of Storms, I think it would be something that would probably be, again, not great, not meta, but worth aware if you happen to have it. Not really so much worth the grind, but if you have the set, it'd be worth wearing if it had no cooldown. But it has one, and that makes it stupid. The Templar set, um, I mean, I ran the Templar set, and if you didn't see the video, check it out. But what I tried to do with that is I tried to put as many Dawn's Wrath abilities on my bar as I could to make it proc faster, and it still took forever. I mean, that's crazy. You could see the video how long it took me to get this thing to proc, and yet, like, I don't know, it just didn't. I'm like, imagine a typical Templar setup. How many actual Dawn's Wrath abilities you can have on your bar? Maybe one or two. I made a situation where I was using almost every single Dawn's Wrath ability, and it still took forever. So I don't know. That set seems to really miss the mark. I think 40 stacks is way too high. 15 or 20, I think, would be a really good, a really good area, because in reality, how many Dawn's Wrath abilities are Templars gonna have on their bar? I mean, truly, how many? Not that much. Not as many as maybe ZeniMax thinks. I mean, the fact that Endless Archive is really grindy doesn't help either, because some of these sets, like I said, they're fun. They are. They could be good with the right build. But like, not really worth the grind. Um, I will admit though that there does seem to be a little bit of an issue with just sets in general. If there is a set that comes out that isn't quote meta, it won't replace any of the very top sets, then people just think it's not worth it and stupid. And I think that's really not the best way to look at things, because you don't need a lot of DPS to do this game. You don't. You don't. Anywhere from probably around like 15 to 40k and a 3 million or 6 million, target dummy. Pretty much all you need. I mean, so a lot of sets can get you there. A lot of sets can get you there, but I don't know. I think that's something that I think people need to keep in mind. You know, um, when and I would say to you, if you're searching for a set and you're like, I don't know if this is meta, don't worry about it. If you like the set and you're doing content with it, then don't worry about it. But if you're looking for top end DPS because you want to start getting in the trials and things like that, then yeah, I would say search out what the best in slot is, and do your research, tighten up your rotations, and all that kind of stuff. Definitely. But if you're just looking to do just any content like vet dungeons, normal dungeons, arenas, not really necessarily trials or hard mode stuff, then I really wouldn't worry about, you know, I really, really wouldn't worry about anything like, um, if you're wearing meta or not. That's kind of weird. And then there's also the fact, I do like the idea of class sets. I do. I think they're different. I think they're a really nice addition. They create just something like a different. I'm using that word a lot, um, but do we really need new sets all the time? You know, I mean, we have so many sets in this game, and that was one thing I was really excited about when it came to Update 40 was reduced sets. We weren't going to have all these new sets being introduced every single, I was like, okay, so now maybe the dungeon and the chapter are probably the only two places that we were going to have maybe have some sets drop. So some new sets drop. And I'm like, well, that will maybe make things a little easier. I mean, I still think it would probably be beneficial if maybe like there's 1 year where we just don't get new sets and they add different rewards we can get, because there's just too many sets in the game as it is right now. Anyway, I mean, truthfully, um, I think it would be better off to revamp old sets. Take some of those and maybe even make it so they drop not only in their where they're designated in the base game, but also, you know, um, in this new DLC area. I think that would be a better way to go about it. Group Finder. I really do think this was a great idea. I really can't wait to see how players interact with this and how it changes things, because I do think it's going to change things. I do think this is a decision that will make things a lot easier. Even for if you're looking for help in a dungeon, or friends to do a dungeon, but maybe you don't like a particular class. I think that this will kind of help in that area. Or your friends are offline, but you need a healer, and you're like, okay, well, no one's answering in my trade guild, no one's, and I got no other friends that are online. Well, you could post in this and find one. I think it will be, I think it will be a really great addition. You know, but I kind of have to sit back and I look at even the next thing on my little list here, and I go, did Endless Archive even need Endless Archive? You know what I mean? Could we have done this new, ended this year with just Group Finder, new rewards, and whatever else? I think people would have been cool with it. I don't know, because Endless Archive, again, I don't really know who this is for. It's not for me. Not for some, even people who do harder content are like, I don't know who this is for. It's weird. I don't know. So the new rewards for the mages, fighters, and undaunted guild dailies, I think, is also a really good addition. Um, I mean, it's probably something that should have been in from the start, because I mean, I don't really do these anymore, so I don't necessarily benefit from this, but um, people who are still leveling and things like that will definitely benefit from this a lot. So kudos to them, I guess. Next page. This is definitely different for me, because this is probably the first video where I actually wrote everything down. So that's why this is like a little different, a little weirder. Um, okay, so overall, while some things about Update 40 are interesting and good for the game, I think that Endless Archive misses the mark. It's another update without changes to Necromancer class, which I think is a growing issue. I mean, when we, the players, said we were tired of drastic changes and left because we were burnt out, I was one of them. We didn't want them to just completely stop adding all these changes. We wanted them to stop doing drastic changes all the time. It was just when one complete overhaul ended, another complete combat overhaul started, and that's what we wanted to change, not the changes to classes. Because we've gone. I mean, Necromancer has really actually been broken, and I'm getting distracted by my own rant video. Necromancer's been broken since it launched, really. Especially when the two areas that they were good at, which was bombing and major vulnerability, were nerfed. all that did was highlight what they were missing, which was offense. It's just a shame, but it's just another update without changes to that. Um, you know, and just because Endless Archive, I don't know who this targets for an audience. It's not casual people who have a limited time playing. Maybe they log in for like an hour or something. I don't think this targets them because there's no save feature. They can't go back. Basically, they'll be doing either Arc 1 or half of Arc 1 over and over and over again because it's all they have time for. And you know what? I mean, when you have a limited time to play, you don't want to just be doing one thing all the time. No, you want to do different things. You want to quest. You want to maybe do a dungeon with some buddies. You want to jump in PvP, have some fun. You don't want to be like, oh, I really want to do Endless Archive, but it takes up all of my hour. That's not good. And for people who enjoy harder content, I don't think it really reaches them either because they have to. Although they did make it to where it gets more difficult quicker, I do think that it's still not something that's really for people who are looking for very difficult content. I would give this update again before it hits live, but I would give this update as it leaves PTS probably about a C plus. It just doesn't excite me. When Necron was dropping, I was fairly excited. I there were certain things that turned me off about Necron, but I wanted to play it. I found myself, you know, trying, like excited about my, you know, days off and coming home from work because I could log on and play Necron. Or back in the day, I could log on. My favorite chapter of all time is Elsewhere, and then Orsinium. I was so excited to play those. I couldn't wait to play those. It was just fun and it was exciting, but this one just doesn't excite me. I don't find myself having those thoughts. Like, I'm not saying, oh, I can't wait to play on this archive. I'm like, eh, that's basically my thoughts is and that's really not great. You um, so really, I was going to include a 2023 overall, but I'm gonna do that later when Endless Archive drops because I really want to see how it hits live first. Um, Also, with the jewelry rebalance, which is something I forgot to write down because I'm smart like that, I think that this is also just another really great addition to the game, and I think it's also something they should have done from the start. There is absolutely no reason why jewelry shouldn't have worked this way from the start. Truly. I mean, it never should have been dealing with dust. It should work like all the other crafting things work, which is, you know, you refine, you get the upgrade mats, boom, boom. It should have worked like that from the start, but it didn't. Now it does, which is great. But again, it's like, why didn't this go this way before? It makes no sense. Um, I was like, please tell me I didn't refine any. So what I would say, if you wanted to prep for the jewelry update for update 40, my suggestion to you is to do treasure maps. Do dolmens, do things that get you to jewelry. Also, you can also get to tier 3 if you're in the lead in PvP. Now PvP will the servers will update shortly after Necron, not Necron, shortly after Endless Archive drops. So to prepare for that, get if you're in the lead, get to tier 3 because that there will be if you're the winner, if your alliance is winning, you will get like a cachet, champions cachet or whatever, and it will have jewelry in it. And you can decon that when update 40 drops and get the mats. Because that's one thing. Jewelry is gonna work just like every other crafting now. So if you deconstruct purple jewelry, you'll get purple mats. That's really great how they're gonna do this. But anyway, I still give it a C plus, even though because Endless Archive is big, and yet like there's I don't understand what it's for. Like, who is this dungeon for? Who's gonna be doing this? The class sets aren't worth the grind. There's really nice stuff if you get enough fortunes, but that's a little asterisk if you get enough fortunes to buy them, which is the new currency. It's like, there needs to be more. I'm not going to be, if you want me to spend like 30, 45, over an hour, hour and a half, whatever, doing this dungeon, which is sometimes all I can do, then you're going to need to give me more rewards. You're going to give me more fortunes. You're really going to have to encourage me and make me want to play this. And right now, it's not. You don't make me want to play this. I don't feel like I'm missing anything. There's sometimes where I don't want to do certain content or I don't do certain content. I'm like, well, I'm missing A, B, and C, but it's okay. This one, I think about it and I'm like, I'm not missing anything. The class sets aren't, like I said, some of them are fun. Some of them are really great. But it comes down to, do you want to spend the time it takes to grind those? Because they don't drop very often. And that's the problem. It's just not worth the grind, even if a set is fun or a set is really good. It's just not worth it. So, a little disappointed. This update could have been just great without Endless Archive, with the jewel, with the guilds rewards changing, with jewelry rebalanced and redone, and with and the new group finder. I think the update would have been fine with just that. Maybe a few other things here and there tweaked. Anyway, I don't know what you guys think. I believe that update 40 drops on October 30th. I could be wrong. I'm going by memory, so don't quote me on that, but I think it's update 30th. October 30th. So keep an eye out for that. I will be doing my review of 2023 and the first year in this new system that's going to be leading into the 10-year anniversary, which is 2024. So wait for that video. Anyway, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy my content, and I will see you in the next one.